Yo, what's up, Sam? How you doing? Hold on. What the hell? I think you're muted.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, the intro is dope.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Intro was dope. Super dope. I like that. The joint was hitting. That makes me envious. Now I'm like, I need an intro like that.
Hold on. You have Evergreen's intro that I wanted to steal.
I'm talking about the little thing that came up on the screen, said Legion the Knicks.
This guy, man. Look,
I sent out. Hold up, man. That's dope.
This guy. I said I learned from you guys, man. This guy, man.
That was hot. I like that. I need one of those. That's dope.
Thank you, sir.
Where'd you get that made? Well, you can tell me afterwards. Oh, you did that?
Yeah, I just used Premiere Pro, and then you told me to go to Fiverr, and I got some bum A guys to do some things, and then one dude did a really good job with the logo, and I was like, I want that logo. So I chose that logo. Then no, I'm lying. I chose the logo, and then I sent the logo to someone else on Fiverr to do like a little screen or something, and I sent them the track, and I said, can you just make it, last for like this part of the beat, and then cut off. And he was able to do it. So if you guys have stuff you want to create content-wise, you have to vet some people out. Make sure they do stuff, but there are some good, talented people on Fiverr.
Oh, yeah, real talented. That was a dope intro, though, man.
Thank you, sir.
Envious. I like that.
This guy. Everybody go. It's because Tim, I don't know why he doesn't use this intro, but he uses it on Front Stoop. I don't know why he doesn't use it on both, but he has a dope track by Evergreen.
I use it sometimes.
He uses it sometimes. You see how he does? Because I wanted that track, and I said, Evergreen, please, can you make me something similar? And he has not made me something. Not saying it should be the same thing, but that beat Sim has, I love that. It's like an old school like a 1980s boxing beat, like Hagler Hearns type of feel, man. Suit to everybody in the chat, man. We do have some things to talk about tonight. Obviously, the Knicks, and then of course everyone's favorite son, or favorite not son, but miscreant, recluse. What did you call him? Troublemaker, James Harden, who is now. He's finally shown up. Oh man! All right, I'm gonna let you go first, man, because it seems like. Because I could go on for years about this guy. We don't have to read the article. Just kill him, man.
I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say about James Harden right now. Listen, he's his own agent, right? I thought I read that he didn't have an agent, that he was his own agent.
Now he has it says Diana Day. Well, hold on. Okay, so this in Forbes, this was all right, I don't know how updated this is, but yeah, it says either Diana Day is the agent or yeah.
Okay, I don't. All right, maybe he does. Then he was represented by his mother at one point, I guess.
Yeah, this guy's all over the place. Hold on. Oh, so 3 years ago he was represented by Rob Pelinka until Rob Pelinka became the GM, and then he said, "Yeah, you're right." So he said, "I wouldn't call her my agent." Harden said of his mother's role, "She's somebody that helps me out. Obviously, it's work." Blah blah blah, and then this 3 years ago, I don't know what's wrong with that dude, man.
I don't know.
And yeah, he's not represented by his mom. Yep. Yeah.
I don't know what's up with him. He's James Harden. I guess he's trying to make power plays, right? Like if he was LeBron James or something.
LeBron. Yeah, he has a chip. LeBron James at least has one chip. One.
Right.
Harden, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just
oh my.
People like these type of guys get me pissed, but please continue on James Harden.
Yeah, I feel like that's what he's doing, right? He's trying to make power plays like LeBron James, and do what LeBron James has done. LeBron James at least has, like what LeBron James does or has done or what or not, he has a structure, an infrastructure behind him. So it's not just him. And James Harden and listen, if LeBron James was making a power play, if he's supposed to be wherever to show up for camp. He's not going to be in Atlanta at a party with little baby. Right? He's going to handle his business in a different kind of a way. James Harden he's making it bad for himself, I think. Right? Because people are then going to look at him and say, yeah, all right, you're talented, but you haven't won a championship, and we don't want to deal with you. Because look, he had who was the point guard before Chris Paul on Houston?
On Houston, was it? It wasn't Jeremy Lin, was it? He left already. Houston Rockets roster 18?
Well, I mean, you know what? He's on his third star guard. Let's put it like that. You got Chris Paul.
Was it Austin Rivers? Well, they said Aaron Jackson, Demetrius Jackson, Chris Paul. Okay, hold on. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna just go to the previous season. The point guard was Isaiah Taylor, James. Well, I guess James Harden was a point guard. They had Patrick Beverly there, but
Patrick, yeah. So I mean, like, he's on his third star guard, I guess, if you want to call him, right? Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, and now it's John Wall. Okay, now people can say all the stuff about Harden couldn't play with those guys or whatever, but the one common denominator with all of those, well, we don't know if John Wall is leaving, but with Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook going elsewhere, is James Harden. Right? And so we'll see. If I'm Houston, they got a new head coach. Right? I'd just be like, listen, don't even come back. We're gonna get you out of here. I wouldn't cave it. He doesn't have a no trade clause, does he?
I don't think so.
Yeah, if he doesn't have a no trade clause, if I'm Houston, I'd move him to wherever I'm going to move him to without worry about his trade clause or anything like that. Or without worrying about where he wants to go. I just move him to wherever I think I need to move him and get the best offer for him, and then let him do what he does. That's what I would do if I was the Houston Rockets, and just start over. Because right now, I don't understand what the Houston Rockets are doing anyway. But it was, to me, the whole John Wall thing was stupid. I know they got a draft pick out of it, but it was still stupid, right? Especially if James Harden is gone. Now you're stuck with John Wall and his contract. That was, to me, just the dumbest thing ever. It was just didn't make any sense whatsoever.
For a guy coming back from, what was it? Was it Achilles he had?
Yeah, an Achilles. Fell down the steps in his house.
I don't even know why he fell. Because knowing him, he allegedly had some issues or rumored to have some issues. So you put that out in Houston, which is not better because DC, Rose Bar in DC, So you go out in Houston, which probably has an even stronger party scene, equal to maybe stronger because all the rappers out there, athletes out there. And the thing with Harden, man, I'm just gonna say this, man. These guys, not to say I never root for anybody, their careers falling down, anything like that, right? But humility is a mother, man. Life will humble you because no one is immortal in the sports world, right? Harden today, KD at one point was literally the best player in the NBA, right? And not to say he's not going to come back strong next year, but that Achilles basically wiped his dominance. Mm-hmm. Not from everybody. Obviously, basketball fans know how great he is, but basically from that, that aura of like, oh my gosh, this guy's invincible, right? James Harden, again, he's probably 30, 31, or he's up there, right? And it's like, you're not going to be able to be James Harden forever, right? So when you start to burn bridges and the rest of the league notices, once James Harden is no longer James Harden, right? Those 50 million, 20 million, whatever they're not going to be coming in like that. Like, it's just, you got to be humble. If you want to leave, say, hey, look, I don't want to be anymore. I rejected the contract. I'm going to sit out for respect to the team. Hope you guys can work out something. I'm all ears, blah, 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 blah. Fair enough. There's a way you can go about being professional with those type of things. And given that it's a players' league, right? But James Harden, you're hurting yourself because, okay, now there's no, say you don't play for party or something like that, right? You are also hurting the league because, again, like we talked about, it's a business and the networks want to clip that CBA. They want to take that CBA and turn it in. They want to take back that money because they've been losing money. So you got to be humble. These big contracts, that $50 million contract, I don't know, when's the next CBA? 2023? Is it 2023, 24?
The next CBA, yeah, something like that.
You know, and I'm not saying he's not going to get a big contract. I'm just, the NBA is going to look very different. So I would just tell, he just has to be very careful how he goes about things because you don't want to mess with your money. I understand now you're popular or whatever, but one bad injury, you know what I mean? One loss of skill, one turn in the referee's actually calling a travel on you with that BS stop, drop that crap he does. Now I should move down. You know what I mean? You could just turn into another player. So I'm just saying he has to be humble, man. I don't wish for anything bad to happen to him, but again, I blame the owners, man, because you had Chris Paul there. I think that you should have tried to find a way to build Chris Paul. You had Mike D'Antoni, who I'm not the biggest fan of, but he basically couldn't coach. And then you had Daryl Morey, and then this whole, hey, let's not have a center or rim protector. You basically allowed the team to become James Harden's 2K fantasy. And what the hell does James Harden know about winning? Let's be honest. What does James Harden know anything about winning? Not to say that the coaches are always right, but these players, they sit there, they get coaches fired, they get players moved that could have been instrumental to the team, and then they blame it on the team and say, oh, yeah, they didn't put enough help around me. Oh, I didn't have the right coach. And I'm like, like Paul George. Like bum A Paul George. Now you went from Doc Rivers. Say what you want about Doc Rivers, right? He may not be able to make adjustments, but Doc Rivers, Tyronn Lue. I don't care what no one says. And Doc Rivers won a championship. Tyronn Lue won one too, but Doc Rivers won more so, I would say, relative to Tyronn Lue off of his coaching, off of his out-of-balance plays, out of the great picks that they allowed to set with Leon Poe and Kendrick Perkins, Kevin Garnett, how they utilize them to set picks for Ray Allen. That was a lot of it was also coaching. They have talent, yes, but Tyronn Lue rode a bandwagon. So basically, there's no accountability with these players, Sim. You know what I mean? And it's only hurting them. The networks are seeing this and saying, oh, you guys want to play? You guys want to rest probably more than you probably need to? Or you want to pull these shenanigans? Okay, when the next CBA comes up, we'll see where these big contracts go. So
and when that next CBA comes up, trust me, they're gonna remember this stuff. Because the thing and it's not about James Harden saying he wants to play for someone else or doing this. It's about trying to embarrass the organization.
Yep.
Plain and simple, right? If you want to play someplace else, fine. You should be able to dictate your career, where you want to go, and all of that, right? But you got to do it professionally. Don't try to embarrass the organization, because if you try to embarrass my organization, then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to remember that. Bottom line. And when I get my chance to get my get backs, I probably get my get backs. Or take it out in the CBA. That's my get backs.
I'm just saying, in my conspiracy theory mind, I'll say this. These teams can be very vicious, because I'm not saying, and again, I'm not sticking up for this guy. This guy's a piece of crap. But Antonio Brown, as soon as he pulled all that stuff with the Raiders, all that news about all the stuff he was doing with this woman and this woman, all that stuff came out. Now, I'm not saying that it didn't happen or whatever. I'm just saying that it seemed fairly convenient, because the Raiders will call him like, okay, you want to screw us over? All right. And then bam. So I'm just saying it could be that. I'm not saying this 100% true, but you got to be very careful when you're messing with billion. Because remember, these owners are billionaires, and they don't like being embarrassed. They don't like losing money. They don't like being put in a bind where they can't recoup money properly. Like if you told these guys, hey, I want to be traded, blah, blah, they can set up something, right? The GMs, the front office can set up something. But when you pull these shenanigans, because also the networks are looking at, was it Fertitta, what's his name, Fertitta, the owner of the Rockets? You're looking at them like, oh, this is your mess, right? So again, the Houston Rockets owner doesn't want to be left in a bind. So I'm just saying, Harden, you going around again, you being in these clubs or whatever, when COVID protocols, whatever, or pandemic protocols and stuff, you gotta be very careful, because these owners, they're gonna have they're going to have spies around to make sure, hey, get as much during this guy to screw him over. If he's going to screw us over, we're going to screw him over. So
right.
You got to be very careful. Now, let me ask you this. What teams do you think could be in the running for him? Obviously, they mentioned the 76ers. KD came out today and he said, oh, James, don't. Why are we talking about him? He's not on my team, even though, James, Kevin Durant would love to play with another friend of his, these freaking clowns.
Right.
So what team would fit him? What team you think could bring him on and feel comfortable winning a championship, knowing how mercurial and destructive this idiot is?
I don't see it working in Philadelphia. I feel like they got too much going on there as it is. So I don't think it would be I just don't see it going well. I don't see it going well in Brooklyn either. I feel like, especially having you got Mike D'Antoni, Steve Nash is a new coach. I mean, they're trying to. They already got basically KD coming in brand new when you think about it, right? Even though he was with the organization last season, he didn't play. You got Kyrie and all of his stuff, and then you bring in James Harden coming in off of this. I think it would be too much. It would be explosive. I just don't see where it would work there.
Now, think about this. The 76ers, we talked about this all the time, right? If they're trying to get rid of, because remember, they're in a bind with two of their talented players in Embiid and Simmons. Wouldn't this be a good time to try to unload the guy that you think should be pushed on? Like, I understand they got Christian Wood, but Embiid and Christian Wood, come on, we're not really – come on. Could you see them? Like, if Houston is dumb enough to bring on John Wall and you're trying to unload a guy like, say, Embiid, who – talented player, but, I would say he's a dinosaur, but obviously he's in that mode of, old school center. Obviously his body is just fragile. He can't really work out. And, he's had issues with, weight and conditioning before. Do you try to pull that move to get Embiid off of the 76ers and bring on a mercurial guy like Harden, who can, probably play very well next to a Ben? If he wants to play off ball, he can play well with a Ben Simmons. Or you push Ben Simmons, knowing that Ben Simmons don't want to probably be there because he wants to make his way to the Lakers anyway. And you have a two-man game with Harden and Embiid. Harden will get that rim protect. That guy can run the pick and roll. A guy he could just dump it down to the post, and he could kill from the outside. It does work basketball-wise, Harden on the 76ers.
Now, Daryl Morey has come out and said, for all it's worth, that he's not trying to move either one of his two young guys.
You believe him?
No,
all right,
because they're in salary cap hell, basically.
Right. Oh.
So no, I don't believe him at all. But that's what he said. So maybe that's just a play, in negotiating with Houston.
Right.
You know what I mean? Look, I guess if you're the 76ers, you probably can't. You probably have no choice if the deal is on the table for James Harden and you have one of those guys and you can make a deal. You probably have no choice but to go ahead and say, let's give it a go.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now, yeah, if you're moving someone like, oh, geez, which one would I move? Would I move Ben Simmons or would I move Joel Embiid? If I'm the Sixers, I would look to move Joel Embiid, not Ben Simmons. Although Ben Simmons may be going to L.A. in a couple of years whenever his contract is up anyway. That's what I believe. I think he's going to be looking to go to L.A. So then, I wouldn't want to put all of my horses on Embiid because he's injury prone. So if I'm trying to make a move, I guess because Ben Simmons is a guard, maybe I would go ahead and move Ben Simmons, in the trade for James Harden, bring in James Harden. Now you got a dynamic guard, dynamic center. Then you can fill it. You still, who knows what else would go in a trade for James Harden. It sounds like the Houston Rockets say that they want to have, they want young pieces. They want draft picks. I don't know what Philadelphia looks like as far as draft picks are concerned and young players on rookie contracts. I think that's what I read that Houston wants. I guess if they can get them, they almost don't have a choice. If they're trying to compete for a championship, if you're a younger team that is not really competing for a championship, you could probably say, nah, this ain't the time for us. We don't want to deal with it. We'll stick with what we got, especially if you're a young team that's already competing in the playoffs. I don't know, man. I don't know. James Harden might end up just being stuck in Houston. I can't see where his play style fits anywhere in the NBA right now. For real. I just don't know, because there's a lot of guys in the NBA that have played one-on-one. He's almost the ultimate one-on-one player.
I hate this game.
Just the ultimate one-on-one player. He said, where did I read it? I don't remember, but he said that he wants to play a style with more ball movement.
Oh, really?
So, I don't know.
Yo, these guys get me so pissed, man. It's like, why do these? I feel bad for the coaches, man. I feel bad for these coaches, man. There've probably been a lot of good coaches out there who had really good ideas, but somehow they were stuck with a freaking James Harden type of player, a Westbrook type of player, won't buy in, and then you're stuck because, like, hey, coach or owner, I'm trying to teach these guys, or GM, I'm trying to teach these guys this and that. And they're like, yeah, just do whatever what's her name says. And if you don't win a championship, then then you get blamed for everything, even though you could not coach a team to what you want to coach. I still remember David Blatt. People could lie about, say David Blatt was just I think the Cavaliers had the best record on the East that year, or the best. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
And I think did they have the best defense that year?
I think they did have the best defense. They had the best record in the East, because David Blatt did he get fired after the All-Star game or before the All-Star game? I always forget.
I think it was before, because Tyronn came in. Let me see. David Blatt.
Because he was supposed to coach. He either coached or was supposed to coach
the All-Star team.
The All-Star team.
He was fired. He was fired before. He was fired before January.
Okay.
To 22nd.
And so Ty Lue coached the All-Star team. See how ridiculous that is? That's just ridiculous.
It's not fair, man. It is not fair, man. Like David Blatt was trying to make LeBron James a better player. He told LeBron James all the thing Kobe told LeBron James, because Kobe said the same thing. He said, hey, LeBron, you can't run with these young guys like that and then expect to play on the other side, which is defense, right? Get your butt in the block, right? And post up, facilitate, move the ball around, conserve your energy so you can play both sides of the ball, right? And be able to be an impact player on both sides. And David Blatt literally told him the same thing, play in the block, which he did, because he did play in the block until Iguodala shut him down. And then he also told him to try to get him to play more off ball. Like, I'm just like, how does that make you? That makes you a more deadly player, right? And then now David Blatt's an idiot. I'm like, David Blatt, maybe it's an American thing, but I wouldn't sit here and issue on David Blatt like that. The guy can coach. He knew what he was doing, but when you're playing with LeBron James, you have to play to his system. Take the brunt of it when you lose, and then get no credit when you win. So.
Right. And unfortunately, David Blatt will be no longer coaching in the NBA or elsewhere because of his health condition, right? So,
right.
But
salute to David Blatt, man. But these coaches, man, Lord Jesus, I feel bad for them, man. But let's get to some Knick news, man. First and foremost, your boy Mitchell Robinson, in his interview last night or yesterday, they were talking about, and I might be paraphrasing here, but they were talking about Mitchell Robinson and him shooting threes. And essentially, Tom Thibodeau said that, it's not as if we're holding him back from shooting threes, but we want to see him more at the foul line, right? Said something to that effect. Hold on, let me get the. Oh, is it still open? Nice. Let me get the exact article on it. But essentially, it seems as if he wants Mitch Robinson to get to the foul line a lot more, make his bones at the free throw line. I think he's shooting 74%. Is it?
Yeah. He shoots pretty good from the line, man.
74%. I believe it's about 2.5 attempts. So yeah, so it's saying So according to Stephen Bondy of the New York Daily News, he said, we've seen the other league guys who historically been inside players move out to the perimeter. Thibodeau said via Stephen Bondy of the New York Daily News, usually start out with a corner three. If you get to a point where he's comfortable with his free throws and extend out beyond that, so be it. But that's something that we want to work on. But we also want him to play to his strengths and cover up whatever weaknesses he has. I'm not going to – and then Mitchell Robinson said, I'm not going to come out launching threes. They're not going to tell me to take it. If I do that, Robinson said, this year I'm more comfortable with the way I've been shooting lately, so why not? I've just been working on it. So if the shot presents itself. What are your thoughts on his comments, both him and Thibodeau's comments?
I mean, with Mitchell Robinson, I do agree. Like, we don't want you to just come out and start launching threes up, right? For no reason, all willy-nilly, all over the place. But we just want you to be confident enough to shoot the three when it's open, when it's available. Not the three, shoot the mid-range. I'm not even worried about threes. Shoot the mid-range when it's available. And when it's open, if somebody drops off you because they think you're not going to shoot it, shoot it. I don't care if you miss it, just shoot it, right? Because eventually, even if you shoot it and miss it, now that person at least is going to say, "Oh, he's going to shoot it. He might make it." So they got to play some sort of defense on it, right? They can't drop off that much because you're going to shoot the basketball. As far as Tom Thibodeau, I do like him saying, and I think all coaches should kind of take this approach. We're going to focus on what you do well and let you do what you do well, but we'll slowly try to bring you along in those other areas. Right. Because I feel like let's look at Dennis Smith Jr. last year. Right. I feel like part of his problem last year too was he was trying to learn how to be a facilitator. Right. Because there was all this talk always about it. He's an athlete. He's not a facilitator. He needs to learn how to be a facilitator, this and that. And I agree. If he wants to be a point guard in the NBA, then, you've got to learn how to do some of that at least. Right. But if you're forcing it and pushing it too much, then you forget about your other strengths. And you don't go to your other strengths at all. And now you're stuck with a guy that was averaging 14 points a game, averaging 5 points a game because he doesn't know what to do. Right. And of course, that's not the only reasons. I'm just using that as an example. Right. So I think it's smart to say, listen, we're going to let you do what you do. And then we're going to try to bring you along in some of these other areas. Right. So you start the season off. Mitchell Robinson is catching lobs. He's getting putbacks and stuff like that. And then, he's comfortable in the season. Maybe you play 10, 15 games and you say, you know what, listen, I'm going to challenge you to shoot 2 jump shots a game. You know what I'm saying? So, now that he's comfortable already doing something, and then you bring him along that way. I feel like if you start to force somebody, and that's the thing that's always on their mind, except for defense, right? Like if someone doesn't play defense, then you got to constantly be like, yo, this has to be in the front of your mind. But when you're talking about offensive things and you're trying to bring somebody into doing something new that maybe they haven't done before, you can't just put them out there and tell them, go do it. Right. I think you got to bring it along slowly. So I think it's smart. It's a good idea. I just want to see it, though. It can't go too slow because even Tom Thibodeau brought this up in one of his interviews. He wasn't talking about Mitchell Robinson. He was talking about the development of the team. He was like, you want the team to develop, but at some point you got to move forward and get better. Right. So, you can't be developing for too long. And so it's the same thing. Right. Yeah. We want them to develop in certain areas. But at some point, you got to say, listen, let the ball go. Shoot it.
Yeah, I think Tom Thibodeau, because here's what obviously Tom Thibodeau with Chicago, according to B-Ball Breakdown, he ran the triangle about 25% of the time. Right. And obviously on the strong side, the corner guy, there's going to be opportunities to hit the three. Obviously, the triangle changes a lot. But usually Tom Thibodeau used the big guy in the post or on that pinch post position, right near the elbow where Jakim Noah made his bones about. What I took from what Tom Thibodeau said was, hey, I'm not, basically, yeah, if the three is there, we want you. But we want you, when you talk about extending it out, right, Mitchell Robinson also has to be able to hit that little foul line shot, that little mid-range shot, because he's not even showing really a semblance of that, right? He's not even showing really any ability, right? We can't jump to you even though, yes, a 3-point shot can be easier than, actual dribble drive, mid-range shots. But let's work on something a little bit more fundamental, because just having you space out outside and just jack a bunch of shots doesn't flow within a game plan, which Tom Thibodeau, I think, is going to have this Knicks, because he said it. Knox and all these guys have alluded that, hey, we're learning his system, blah, blah, blah. One set that he does call that I think will work for Knox, if you recall from how the Wolves ran, right? They played this thing called horns, right? Where basically the point guard's at the top of the key, and then you have two big men. Like they had Dieng and then Cat play at the two elbow spots, right? And either one cuts to the basket. Like it's basically like those guys like a dynamic play, right? The point guard uses a pick and roll on one of the guys, and then one of those horn guys would pop out, right, for the 3-point line. One that would cut down to the basket. One might stay there if the point guard could beat his man. Like it caused a lot of confusion. But Mitchell Robinson, Obi Randall are going to get a lot of opportunities at those horns. Now, obviously, Mitchell Robinson is most likely going to be the guy that cuts to the basket once the point guard makes a decision, just because he's so tall. And anything with a delayed screen, pick and roll Mitch Robinson is shown to be strong at that. Thibodeau said, hey, we're going to work to his strengths. So obviously, if he runs those horn plays, that's probably going to be the go-to. But, if you watch Cat many times, got a lot of opportunities in that set where he popped out. They passed it to Cat because now Cat kind of went with the play, and Cat has the opportunity to shoot. So Mitch Robinson's going to get those opportunities out. In the triangle, I think it's kind of hard because I don't think they're going to play him in a corner. They're probably going to use a guard who can actually hit those shots and move around. But Mitchell Robinson, he's going to have opportunities to hit those threes, or that, that two, or people call it the long two, which is, I guess, the most useless shot in basketball. But it is when you can make a shot, you can make a shot. So, yeah, he's going to get the opportunities. But again, with me, and this is why I didn't like those videos, Sin, because it's like, Mitch, work on, and I think you mentioned it too, give me at least two moves around the basket that can get you.
Yeah.
Just give me that. I don't care about the three and all that stuff. Dude, Bam Adebayo does not shoot threes like that. Bam Adebayo makes his bones at the mid-range, I guess the long two, whatever you want to call it, and right near the basket. Hooks, floaters, all that stuff, the little foul line shot, he makes his bones there. And that offense is a lot more potent because he can space out the floor, not from the perimeter, but in the mid-range, whereas he's just not clogging the lane. Mitch, all this shot gotcha, that's cute. And this is why I talk about with these trainers they're getting. And this could also go to the Knicks, right? The lack of development and guidance that we have for the past few years. If I was Fizzo or any of these coaches of the past, I'm writing out game plans. Hey, we're going to get you this coach. We're going to get you this guy because we need to work on this. Blah, blah. We're going to give you a blueprint. Please work on this. Now, if you don't follow that, then it could be like, all right, this guy's not professional. He's not working. And I do agree that Mitch Robinson, the whole Team USA thing, there probably was some unprofessionalism there. But then, and again, because people kill me and say, I just kill the young kids. I'm not killing young kids. I'm just saying that you can't depend on these coaches because it makes no sense for me to be watching Mitch Robinson, DSJ work on all these things, not DSJ per se, but Mitch Robinson especially work on all these things that's not going to do anything. He doesn't even do the things he was working on because he did this last summer. Comes in this past season, doesn't do any of that, took, 5 shots the whole season. Goes back this summer, he's doing the same thing again, even though I believe Woodson came down south or whatever, helped, to shoot the shot. But again, Mitch, I want to see you work with someone who could develop your post or your front to the basket skills where literally 1-2 dribble, you plant that left foot, spin, boom, at the basket. You'll get to the line. You'll be up the top of the top centers in the league who shoot the most free throws. I think it's like Rudy Gobert, Cat, and damn, I'm missing who else. It might be Jokic. And they're averaging like 5 or 6 attempts a game. Mitch is only averaging 2.4. And the thing about what Mitch is that you have so many other fundamentals to work on. Mitch, you play 22 minutes a night. You average 9 and 7. If you're able to be out there the same number of minutes as Gobert, who averages 35, 36 minutes a night, that 9 and 7, literally without any offensive development, turns into a 13, 14, and 10. So fundamentals on defense you should be working on. Fundamentals on offense to give me 1 or 2 moves. The 3-point stuff, you don't need that. Not saying you don't want it. If you could develop, that's fine. But you have other things on your list that you need to work on to make you an actual NBA player, right?
Yeah, and I wanted to go back to what you were saying about the post up. Listen, he may not ever be a post up player, but working on those post up moves, it's not just working on moves. It's developing your footwork. right? And footwork is the most important. That's the most important thing in the NBA game,
Yes,
right? Your footwork, offensively, footwork defensively, right? And so when you work on those post moves, you use those footwork techniques everywhere on the court, offensively and defensively. You know what I mean? So, and when I watch him, when we see all these clips of him playing basketball with the YMCA guys, not once do you see him posting one of those guys up or just working on footwork or doing drop steps to the basket or doing anything like that. But that post-up footwork really does translate to the rest of the basketball court. And that's one of the reasons why I always have concerns. I can't say what he's doing when he's not on video.
Right.
But some of those things is what continuously has me concerned about Mitch.
We'll put like this, guys, because people are killing us like, oh, you don't know what he's doing off the court or off the. We'll put like this, guys. It ain't showing up in the game. So you say all this stuff about, oh, we don't know what he's doing. But put like this. You spent 2 summers working on, say he's working on these magical footwork drills, whatever. It's not showing up on the NBA. Even if Mitchell Robinson tried to do a spin move and it failed, I would be like, okay, maybe he was trying to work on that. Fair enough. And the thing about this is why I get mad with some of these rookies is that when you're on a team that's bad, the regime is bad, and they're going to clear out, the best thing I think you could do is to really take as many chances with your game, right? And I'm not saying you go out there and say, Coach, I'm going to do whatever I want. But hey, Fizzo, hey, let me just work on this thing. Maybe Frank Ntilikina can't beat this guy to the basket, right? You know what I do? Post up like Mark Jackson used to do at the elbow. Post up like Jason Kidd used to do, and try to see, hey, Coach, maybe it's a different way where if I operate from the block, right? Maybe I could facilitate it, get it to the guys. Maybe on smaller guards, I could, get to the basket, draw fouls. Can we just try for a few games? Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? I'm just putting it out there, and Fizzo to me actually seemed like a guy who probably would have been down with that, been okay with that if he saw that, hey, this guy's been working on his moves. He's really trying to get better at this, such and such. All right, let's try. Let's see how it works. You know what I mean? And I'm sorry, guys, I don't see it with Mitch. 5 shots all season. And every time he gets the ball, he's looking, oh, hot potato. Oh, someone take it if he's not right at the basket.
Yo, and people complain about Frank because he only took 5 shots a game. I mean, Mitch only took 5 shots a game.
No, yeah, I'm talking about Mitch. Yeah, I'm talking about Mitch. My bad.
Yeah, no, I'm saying no. I mean, like you were saying, 5 shots. Like, I was surprised. I was like, oh, well, let's see how many shots per game Mitch took. I was surprised when I seen that he only took 5 shots per game. And a part of that is because he doesn't pull that jump shot.
Oh, and I was talking about 5 jump shots the whole season.
5 jump shots the whole season. Yeah.
See, now the 5 attempts a game might be it, but 5 attempts. I think he went 3 for 5, by the way, which is fine. Good. But yeah, this is what I'm saying.
Jump shots the entire season. And I wonder how many times he was wide open from the top of the key free throw line area when defenses dropped back into the center of the paint. I wonder how many times he was wide open.
I remember one shot he had against the Hawks. He made it, but it was like almost hot potato. Like he got the ball and just. Oh, I was like, wow, just slow. Everyone in. But again, he's gonna have open shots. He's at least with Frank. I'll say this about Frank, where you saw him be a little bit more aggressive. And yes, he was missing some wide open threes, whatever. But you want him to take those shots to feel comfortable. Mitch, again, I don't know what these trainers, whoever's telling you this, and also this is what Tip says about professionalism, right? Messages mean something. If I'm allowing people to take videos of me joking around, okay, it's after practice, I'm joking around, but you're posting it as if it's something substantive, right?
Right.
And you come into practice or you come into the team and your fundamentals are still poor, right? That's what the professional is talking, because other people, think about it, you're not the only person on a team. Veterans might come over, other people might come over and try to play with you. And also, when you talk about Lena Timo being that impact player, they need to feel comfortable and say, I trust Mitch Robinson to dump the ball off to him. I trust this guy because I've seen him work hard. He doesn't play around with his craft. He's not one of these guys on Instagram or Twitter. I respect him. So I'm gonna follow the young guy. A lot of veterans do that, where they follow after some of these younger guys. Don't make a fuss in the locker room. They know, hey, RJ Barrett. Now that dude is a young bull right there, man. I'm gonna follow after him. I like his intensity. Same thing. All these younger guys who are killing out here. Kawhi is not young, but Donovan Mitchell. You tell me guys don't see Donovan Mitchell. The way he carries himself, forget even how he plays, the way he carries himself is very important. So when I see a guy like Mitch, right, if the Knicks were a good team in the playoffs, right, you can literally, not say you can do whatever you want, but you have leeway to go, oh, yeah, he's the guy on Fortnite. I'm not getting at Knox. I'm just saying, he's the guy who does a God sham, blah, blah, blah. But I know he's doing good because the Knicks got 50 wins. But when you're on the worst team in the NBA and you're not performing up to par, it doesn't look good for you. That's why Thibodeau might want to develop some of these kids. I'm not saying he won't, but Thibodeau did not bring all these veterans on his team for no reason.
No.
Thibodeau is a system guy, and in a good way, where he will fit the system that fits the best players on the team. If Mitchell Robinson cannot beat out Nerlens Noel, if Knox can't beat out, I don't even know who we would have at 3. Say you want to play Burks at 3, but that kind of be harsh because Burks kind of like a 2-2. But if Knox doesn't impress at the 3, Frank doesn't impress at the off guard position.
Look, we were talking about this earlier with Evru and Raw Hebrew. When you look at the teams that are going to do well, at least to begin this season, is going to be teams that have been together and have seasoned players, right? Because it's been off for 9 months. You got a short training camp, right? You got 1 week of training camp for the most part? The teams that are going to perform well are going to be teams that are familiar with one another and that have been together, right? So what do you think Tom Thibodeau is going to do? He's going to play guys that know how to play the basketball game and can produce, at least from the beginning, to try to get some resemblance of a team going, Now, there's a bunch of guys that's been here since last season, so, don't be surprised if those guys are in the mix, and they're going to be in the mix because they make up more than half of the team. The RJ, Kevin, Julius, Frank, DSJ, those guys, right? Mitch, they've been here. Reggie Bullock, so he's probably going to try to rely on those guys for some sense of continuity. But more than not, I think he's going to want to play guys that just know how to play the basketball game naturally. Yeah. Right. Especially from the beginning of the season, because it's such a short season, such a short training camp. You want to put guys, you want to try to, even if you're not winning, you want to try to start with something substantive, start with some substance and do something and establish something. Mm-hmm. One of the things that he was saying, I was listening to his interview today, and one of the things he was talking about is, and it kind of alludes to Raw Hebrew was talking about why maybe he doesn't play rookies as much. And one of the things that he was talking about in his interview is that, when rookies come in, one of the things that rookies have to deal with is understanding, the nuances of the game, but also understanding, like, veterans have been here and played against certain guys 4 or 5, 3 or 4 times a year, right? So they know their tendencies. Mm-hmm. Rookies don't know their tendencies. They have no idea what these guys are going to do coming in. You know what I'm saying? And so that's part of the reason what Raw Hebrew was saying is that's part of the reason why he might not play rookies as much, because these guys are not aware of the defenses. They got to get used to the speed. You heard Emmanuel quickly today say, one of the biggest changes was the speed to the game. Like, he didn't expect NBA players to be that fast, and they're faster than he thought they were going to be. Right. All of these things are changes for guys coming into the league.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was here yesterday on Blarn's Tier. So to Blarn's Tier, go subscribe. And I was literally a man on an island fighting against these lunatics that were trying to argue with me that, okay, you have the veterans who, because Thibodeau said it himself, he said the veterans, they understand the game, they understand nuances and all those things a little bit quicker than some of the younger guys. Young guys, obviously, we benefit from the athleticism, whatnot. But if you're bringing in a guy like Burks, who played with the Warriors, who played with the 76ers, and was a piece on those teams.
A piece.
It's not to say that RJ Barrett or Knox or Frank are stupid. But we can't sit here and say, okay, the Knicks didn't have a system to play with, they didn't have proper development, and then say they can get in a room with some of these veterans like Austin Rivers, who, yes, the Rockets, in terms of their system, was trash, but salute to Nick G for pointing this out. They were running things, according to Nick G, it's fact, but they were running stuff like the Spanish pick and roll, which is not a simple, you have to be cerebral enough to smart and run it at a cerebral pace to make it naturally effective, right? So a guy like Austin Rivers, who's been around, played with the Clippers, played with the Houston Rockets, is coming into a room with Frank, and you're going to sit here and tell me, because everybody loves Frank. It's like, no one's dissing Frank or Knox, but they have mentally, you can talk about, they learn it. And then when you're on the court, this is the same team. Well, let me say, Frank was here. Hornacek complained that these guys did not want to run a triangle because it's like, it's too complex, blah, blah. So again, when you have young kids and there's no guidance, no coaching, right? And yes, I'm blaming the coaching and the front office. They did a horrendous job with these Knicks kids, right? But again, you get veterans into run. Now, it's up to these younger kids to get it quickly, to understand, all right, here's my role in this spot. And maybe that's, hey, let's play some pickup games in the gym, let's do stuff after practice. Let's try to run it. Let me get into it. But Thibodeau is not going to sit here and wait for these guys, wait 5, 6, 7 years to see if there's something in Knox, to see if something in Frank. Frank's a free agent next year. You know what I mean? And even, RJ Barrett, who I like, if they find an option better, more dynamic than RJ Barrett, you know what I mean? Not to say they're looking to do that, but I just feel like Thibodeau's on a different train. I think the front office is on a different train where it's like, hey, it's no more lollygagging. We're going to get veterans to build out the system for the first maybe 2 years. And then, look, we're looking at the draft. We're looking at veterans to bring in. We are trying to build this team and develop them rather quickly. There's going to be instruction. You got Bryant. You got Kenny Payne. You got, Leon Rose and Worldwide West making moves in the front office. Guys got to hurry up, man. And again, people kill me and say I'm harsh on the kids. The NBA doesn't care. It's brutal.
And look, when you look at the guys that they brought in compared to the guys that they brought in last year, people can look and say, well, they kind of did the same thing as last year. They did, but I think they were smarter about doing it, because when you look at Austin Rivers, how many years has he been in the playoffs? He's been in the playoffs a bunch of years.
Yep.
Right? Burks, he just came from Philadelphia, who was in the playoffs last season.
Yep.
Right? Nerlens Noel, he just came from OKC.
Yep.
They were in the playoffs the last 2 years when he was on the team.
Yes,
so they brought in guys who came from playoff teams. Now look at last year. Right, Bobby Portis, he didn't come from a playoff team.
Nope.
Right, Elfrid Payton didn't come from a playoff team.
Nope.
Reggie, did Reggie Bullock
came from the Lakers? So, Lakers were in the playoffs that year, though.
They weren't in the playoffs, nope. Right? Marcus Morris was the only guy that was in the playoffs.
Yep.
The only guy that was in the playoffs that they brought in last season. Because the other guy, Wayne Ellington, he wasn't in the playoffs. There is a difference. There's a difference because these guys are coming from winning. They're coming from being contributors on winning teams, not just, sitting at the end of the bench. Every single one of them were contributors. Alec Burks averaged 12 points a game with Philadelphia, playoff team. Nerlens Noel was, a backup center who played significant minutes. Austin Rivers, backup guard who played significant minutes. I mean, these guys are going to come in with some kind of expectations as well, and feeling like, I'm coming from a playoff team to a team with a bunch of young guys that didn't make the playoffs. I feel like I should be starting. They may not say that in the media, but I would feel that way. Like, I played a significant role on a playoff team. You guys are bums. I should come here and start. You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't you think that Austin Rivers, Alec Burks, and Nerlens Noel could come from playoff teams and come here and start?
I had to fight with these guys. I'm like, do you think that Austin Rivers would sign a 3-year, 1-year guaranteed deal with the Knicks? The bum A Knicks right now, we're trash, right? Who sit on the bench outright, not even, hey, we're competing. I'm gonna just sit on the bench to watch
Hell no. No, he's not. He didn't come here to sit on the bench.
Knicks fans, we are the most passionate. I love the Knicks fan base. I love most New York fan bases for the most part. And I've been around the country. We're some of the most passionate, informed people, right? There are other pockets where it's like that's all they have, and they're very passionate. But we're the most passionate, right? But one thing that passion does, I think it makes us delusional, right? Because I asked this question yesterday, and it's not to issue on any of the young kids. I asked these guys, if you had a chance to redo it again, would you draft Knox? And those guys at first they're like, and then they're like, oh, yeah, I would draft Knox. I'm like, so if you love Knox so much and all that stuff, you wouldn't draft him outright, given if you had the opportunity, knowing what you know, 2020, whatever, you wouldn't draft him again? So again, guys, we have to be objective when we see these kids again. These kids did not have coaching, but again, they're very fortunate. They're guys who go their whole career. I don't think Mitch Richmond probably had, when he's with Don Nelson, I think, right, running TMC. But there are guys in the NBA who've put up numbers or could have put up numbers, talented, who've never played with a good coach their whole career. And that's just how the NBA goes.
Right.
It's not a given that you be playing with a smart front office or with a good team, because you're going to play your best years with a crappy team, get to your next contract, get a bad injury. Now, the only contract you have or you can get is with some crappy team at the end of the bench. You know what I mean?
Right.
If you're healthy and you can do something, be as aggressive as you. This is why I respect R.J. Barrett. R.J. Barrett. You can talk about his efficiency at the cup, which was poor. You can talk about efficiency from the field, which was poor, 40%, 32% from three. But you saw him be aggressive. When he had that ankle injury, he hired a shooting coach, and you saw splits, better splits from outside. Obviously, it kind of regressed back to the mean. But you saw him push the agency and volition, and hey, I'm gonna try to make an impact, right? So then when whatever coach is there, you could pare him down and be like, all right, RJ, when you do this, you gotta do this. When you defend, you gotta defend with this stance. You're leaning this way too much, blah blah. We could tone it down. But some of these younger kids, man, is do or die for these guys, man.
And look, I didn't see last night, but I can't understand why somebody would argue with you about Austin Rivers. If you listen to Austin Rivers in his interview, he said, I'd never had this kind of a chance. What chance do you guys think he's talking about? And he can say everything that he wants about, doing what the coach says and all that kind of stuff. You want to know what chance he's talking about? He played behind Chris Paul. He played behind Russell Westbrook and James Harden. He never had a chance to be one of the primary starting guards on the team. That is what he's talking about when he says, I never had this chance.
Oh,
he never had that chance. He thinks that he can come in. He's 28 years old. 28 years old is about the prime of your career. I'm sure he thinks that he can come in and say, I can be one of your starting guards. I'm telling you.
And his father kept saying, hey, New York is a good place for you to go.
New York is a good place for you to go.
He's probably also looking at it like, look, you will not get starting play here. And I don't want a position where you have preference because you're my son. And so there's a weird conflict of interest of like, oh, we got to play because it's Doc Rivers' son, right? Versus you go to the Knicks and the competition so far ain't up there. And let me say nothing because you brought up a good point, right? Tom Thibodeau brought in a lot of veterans who do things that he wants in the system very well. Look at the guards he's used with the Bulls. Guards who can shoot off the dribble. Guys like Kirk, and especially in the triangle looks. Kirk Heinrich, go watch his highlights with Jakim Noah. In the triangle set on the weak side, he'd have Jakim Noah get the ball, pass him, set the pick on Heinrich's guy. Heinrich shoots the three, right? Same thing with Jimmy Butler, right? He likes guards, Aaron Brooks, guys who can create, who can drive a little bit and score off the dribble. Mm-hmm. Rivers does that. Burks does that, right? They got a guy, Miles Powell, who did that. And I'm not saying that Miles Powell is going to beat out anybody. He could. Guy from Seton Hall, he did that very well at Seton Hall. Thibodeau, this is what I respect about Thibodeau and what we haven't had in a while. He has a vision, and he's getting guys who make that vision, right?
Yep.
And it's interchangeable because now obviously Phil Jackson got Frank for the triangle, blah, blah. But I think even the Frank thing, the triangle is kind of like a reach, right? But this guy's getting guys like, I mean, look, you could be in a triangle, you could be in motion off, you can be in whatever. As long as you have a guy who can shoot, they can shoot. So Burks can work in different type of, you know what I mean? Like the talent can could spread out the different systems. But for Tom Thibodeau's system, he's getting these guys. So it's up to DSJ, who's not a good shooter. It's up to Frank Ntilikina, who's not a good shooter dribbling off the dribble, right? A guy like Knox as well, too, who's going to have a lot of open corner threes. He has to hit those shots. And we talking about, Knox he didn't really play in a system similar to UK, blah, blah. A lot of guys are playing systems similar to what they did in college. But I did see, and I'm not killing Knox all the way, but I did see many times where Knox was missing open threes last year, where he would flare out and he was a secondary option, but the ball got to him because the action on one side was stagnant. And he would miss a lot of those shots when he flared out to the right wing or whatever. Miss a lot of open shots. So they're going to be put in a position, but they can't beat out veterans. Remember, Austin Rivers only getting $3 million. And he plays good isolation defense, and he can hit the three, and he can hit the shot better than Frank. Frank has to beat that out. And that's 8.8 points, 35% from three, off of, I think, 3 or 4 attempts, I believe.
Something like that.
Attempts?
Yeah, I saw the other day when I did the show, not yesterday, the day before, the Knicks put out, just some pictures of guys playing. They had blue jerseys on, white jerseys on. Right? Your blue jerseys was Elfrid Payton, it looked like Alec Burks, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Nerlens Noel. Right now, I'm thinking if Austin Rivers there, he might have been in that blue jersey over Elfrid Payton. Mm-hmm. Maybe. But Austin Rivers isn't playing right now because of a groin injury. Right. So he may not even play in the preseason game on Friday. And then the white jerseys, there was Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, Obi Toppin, Mitchell Robinson, and I didn't see who they had at point guard. I'm assuming Dennis Smith Jr. These may or may not be the squads that they go with. Listen, for the first preseason game, he'll go with a squad, and then it might switch up, as he's looking to put together lineups that he feels works. Austin Rivers is going to be in those lineups. I can guarantee he's going to be in those lineups. There's no doubt about it. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's starting. You know what I mean? Because with the style that they're going to play, as far as, I don't think you've got to have that quintessential point guard.
No.
He can handle the rock. He can get, no one's going to take the ball from him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think you got to have that quintessential guy. He had Kirk Hinrich at point guard before. He wasn't a quintessential, crazy, stupid point guard. Derrick Rose was out. So, you know what I mean? And Austin Rivers could be, maybe he can't shoot like Kirk Hinrich, but that prototype of a guy, so yeah, these guys, those 3 guys didn't come here to ride the bench. I'm sorry. They didn't come here to ride the bench. And you look at, obviously RJ Barrett would be the youngest guy, but if you put out a lineup of Austin Rivers, Alec Burks, who can shoot it from 3, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Nerlens Noel, that's kind of there's a veteran lineup. The oldest guy in that lineup is 28, I guess. And then you have a young lineup. Then it's going to become in that second lineup, there's a couple of guys that are going to be left out. And then it's like, who's left out? Because, if you have Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, he's not going to be left out. Mitchell Robinson, he's not going to be left out. Obi Toppin, he's not going to be left out. He could end up in the first lineup at some point. But then you got Reggie Bullock. Does he fit in the second lineup, or does he get into that first lineup? I think Burks is a better shooter. Reggie Bullock is probably a better defender.
Real quick, because that's important, right? Who is going to play the 3? If we start say RJ Barrett the 2, if you put RJ Barrett the 3, obviously the 2 is Burks. Bullock, you can play. There's a lot, right? And obviously Burks, I believe, has played some 3 in the past as well too. But who do you play 3? Do you think Tibbs is going to trust Knox to start the season?
I don't think he's going to start him. I don't think he's starting. I don't think Kevin Knox is starting. Will he be in that second unit getting 25 minutes a game? I think so. But is he going to start there? I don't think so. Here's the only thing. What when I watched Reggie Bullock play that three last year, sometimes some of the three men, he's 6'6", I guess, but for some reason, some of those other three men look so much bigger than him. When I was watching, I was like, what the heck? Right? So we don't have the only person who is that size, but he doesn't have the strength, and clearly he doesn't have the defensive skill. And he's not, well, as far as we know, based on last season, he's not ready to take control of that position. It's Kevin Knox, the only one who has some of that size that you've seen some of these other three men with. That's why it's important that he, at some point, takes that step forward, because RJ Barrett is not that size either. When you look at the size of some of these three men.
This is what scares me about Knox, and that he's such a confidence guy, right? You know, when the going gets tough, and salute to G Wiz, sock passe, not play, bro. I'm supposed to say not play, my bad. The thing I'm scared about with him is that he could be, if he's in a game, say against, I'm trying to think of a really dynamic three, just any good dynamic three in the league, and they're lighting him up, right? Does that drag down his game to where now you can't really keep him at that position, but you think you got to lodge him at 4 with Obi and Randall? Yeah, I mean, the thing with it's like for Knox, and I'm not trying to belittle him or infantilize him or something like that. It's just that, you know, it's almost baby steps with him, right? Because he's just not he plays too much to his emotions, that if a guy's crossing him over and he's getting into foul trouble, you know what I mean? I can see him, you know, hanging his head down, and it affects his offense and his focus in the game and all that stuff. And I'm not sure he has a dunk, because the threes will, unless he's improved his footwork and his reaction time, his defensive anticipation, he's going to struggle against some dynamic threesome. And he's in front of Tibbs. Tibbs will look at that and be like, all right, well, enough with that. You know? I
tell you what, they've clearly been working with him. I mean, this is coming from them all summer long. You know, so we'll see what it is. You know, Tom Thibodeau, not just Tom, and some other people said, listen, I've been in his ear, been working with him all summer. Kevin Knox said they've been working with him all summer. He had a lot of glowing things to say about him when they asked him about him. All right. So I think they're going to give him every single shot I think they're going to give him every single shot. Maybe not in the starting lineup, but I think he's going to play. You know, to his credit, I like the fact that he said he wants to start. He's got to prove. He's got to go out there and do it and prove it. Prove that, you know, he could be the starter. But hey, everyone else except for Mitchell Robinson. You know, with Mitchell Robinson, where Nerlens Noel, he was like, I'm sure he wants to start. I want to start. So we're going to be battling it out. Right. I like it when a player is just honest like that, though. Like, yeah, I want to start. You know, it doesn't mean if I don't start that I'm going to be mad. But yeah, I want to start, because when I'm playing, I want to start and I want to finish. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I don't get mad if I don't start. But we'll see. We'll see, because the Knicks, there's just a hole at that 3 spot. There's a hole. There's just a hole at that 3 spot. And, you know, he's got the prototype, although I've always felt that he was you know, I'm just confused, though, because I don't know how tall guys are anymore, right? I thought he came in the league and he was 6'9".
I was 6'9" too.
Right? Now he's 6'7". I thought Frank was 6'7". Now he's 6'4". So I don't know how tall guys are anymore. So I can't say who's what. But when I thought he was 6'9", I was like, I think he's going to end up being a 4. Right. Now they say he's 6'7", so I don't know.
So what the hell is RJ then? Because RJ is supposed to be 6'7", right?
He's 6'6". I see he was listed as 6'6". Then I see him and Frank standing next to each other, and they look the exact same height. Yeah, and they say Frank is 6'4", so I don't know who is.
You had maybe last year, we're like, Frank is growing, man. Frank is like 6'7". And I'm like, then this year, everybody's like, nah, the dude's like 6'4". I'm like,
6'4", like what? Exactly.
I'm not listening to you guys, man. You guys are all trash. Man. See, someone was saying Knox is 6'9". Yo, State of New York and Suits the State of New York podcast, man. Go subscribe on iTunes, man. And I just posted a link like 30 times. So go subscribe to the State of New York's podcast. But now he's saying he's 6'9". State of New York, no one's arguing with you. So, we just don't know. I don't know.
No, because
I don't really even care. If Knox can play the 3, if you could give me now with Knox, it's great because I always get on Knox's defense and his awareness, right? I think the shooting is going to come, but this is what I think about with Knox. He's one of these confidence guys. And one way to boost up your confidence, if you could shut down another player, right? If you have a guy who is basically he's ineffective against you and he's pressing, right? He's like, oh damn, Knox, this dude's shutting me down, man. You know what I mean? To me, as long as you're in the game, like I've seen with Frank Elisa's rookie year, that gives you confidence. It gives you cheap points. You know what I mean? Even though Frank wasn't really shooting like that even his rookie year, but I think that he just looked more confident on the floor. If Knox has that, given that he likes to shoot the 3, or he has the ability to shoot the 3, I think that can open up his game. So it's up to him to take to the coaching. Again, he said he's working on his post-up game. And he talked about drills and stuff. He talked about his post-up game working with Obi, talked about his post-up game with Tibbs. Yep. And I think Tibbs is giving him instruction. I'll give that to Tibbs. I think Tibbs is like, hey, do this, such and such and such. Blasey, blasey, blasey. And Tibbs is passive aggressive, I think, because like if he thinks that you are, I think, put it like this, I don't take much from what he's saying, but I think this is just my theory. If you're at least trying to be attentive and work hard at understanding what he's trying to parlay, he's going to give you a nice thing. He's going to say, yep, blah, blah, blah. But if you're a guy like Mitch, who probably came in, not say Mitch was, getting drunk and I don't give a damn. But it's like, I know this dude. I know what this dude is about. And he'd be like, hey, so how do you feel about Mitch? Well, Noel is right there. We just got Skal Labissière.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I mean, he did have some good words about it. But even when you read in between some of the things he said about Mitch when he was speaking good about him, right? He was like, Mitch. He was like, the sky's the limit as to where he can go, and he talked about things he can do defensively. And then he was like, but if he can do, some of these. If he can learn some of these fundamentals, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but if he can learn some of these fundamentals and understand some of these nuances, then he can really be, a great defender. Right. Like he keeps harping back and going back to him, like just the fundamentals that he needs to do when he talks about Mitch. When he talked about DSJ today, right? He threw in there about some conditioning. You know what I'm saying? He was like, now, they said that he was working on conditioning all summer with Abdul Rauf, but he was like, they asked him about his jump shot, and he was like, in order for him to, he went into a whole thing, about shooting and scoring and doing this. He was like, but, you got to be in good shape to do this and that. And I'd like to see him continue to work on his conditioning so he can do whatever he needed to do. So he throws some things out there. I think a lot of times, and Raw Hebrew was talking about this earlier, you can hear a lot of what he says from what he doesn't say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like they would ask him about Frank. He was like, I like Frank. He was like, he's a big guard. He works hard. Obviously, he can play defense, but I want to see what he can do. So what's that mean? I want to see what he can do offensively. Right? He says, I want it, but I'm looking to see what he can do. So he already knows what he can do defensively because he talked about it. He wants to see what he can do offensively. So, Tibbs tells you, but you just got to read it. You got to read between the lines a little bit with him. I think with Tibbs, hey, if you are a student of the game, the guy went to study, and salute to Nick G for pointing this out, and I looked it up. The guy went to the Warriors practice, and he was even speaking with Andrew Wiggins. Andrew was like, I was surprised to see him, but, we had a good talk. The guy is a student of the game, right? He is going to put so many concepts around these kids, but it's to their benefit, right? If you don't buy into it, it's no more, hey, the triangle, I don't want to learn. It's like, hey, look, it may not be the triangle, maybe something else, but if you're not going to commit yourself to learning the system, right, then you shouldn't, like, who do you benefit on this team? Who do you benefit on this team, man? And look, there are guys, look, you know who I think it might be a sleeper? I think I have 2 sleepers for this team. I think Quickly is a sleeper, and he might kill me. I think he might get his way up from the bench. I don't know if he ever start, but I think he might be an Aaron Brooks type. Miles Powell. I think Miles Powell, given his time at Seton Hall, the fact that he was a leader,
The fact he played well with the ball. And obviously last year he had the concussion, the foot injury, so his numbers kind of dipped. But this is a guy, and Thibodeau, I think he likes those bulldog type of guys. Like guys, look, the kid spent 4 years in college. I mean, Thibodeau's probably looking at like I know that's an old paradigm, but I love it. I love these guys who stay in school and they worked on a game. It wasn't, hey, I could, I averaged 17 the first year. I should be in the NBA. Some of these guys, you can average 17 in 1 year and still not be ready for the NBA, right? A lot of guys are like that. I mean, we probably have a few of them on our team like Knox. So I think he's going to look – if a guy like Miles Powell comes in, beats out DSJ, he might beat out DSJ. Think about this. Could drive to the basket, could shoot, is a more put-together player than DSJ, right? And DSJ's flash or DSJ's ceiling is mostly based off his athleticism. You know what I mean? And Miles Powell isn't known to be uber athletic, but he gets to the basket, which means that when he's playing against guys, man, one-on-one, and he played on a team where he was the only real talent, he was finding ways to beat guys to the basket, which means – smarts and knowing, all right, I know his hips are shaped this way or put this way. I know he's playing with his feet this way. He's playing the wrong defensive stance. All right, let me catch him with the shimmy. Got him, right? Those are basketball smarts that a guy like Thibodeau, I think, will value. And so a guy like Miles Powell might beat out. And then a guy like Quickly, because he could hit the three and can hit the shot. He's I don't say do-it-all guard, but he's like a two guard who could do a little bit of everything, right? Defend. He has a 6'8" wingspan. He's always 6'3", but 6'8" wingspan. He might come in getting 10, 15 minutes off the bench. Tib looks up and the kid is hitting three threes a game or, 2-3 threes a game, contributing on defense. Thibodeau's like, hey, F it. This kid, maybe he needs to start by next year. Maybe you push RJ Barrett at the three, have Quickly play the two. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to put out the guys that might beat out because they all have a Thibodeau type of attribute about him that he values a lot. So these young people, DSJ, they better be very careful.
They better.
Careful, man. So everybody in the chat, I apologize for the person who's calling in. I don't want to cut off Sim. It was Metab. I don't. And then Blanca. I apologize. I didn't mean to ignore you guys, but I know Sim has to go and play ball. I'm about to do the front stoop for about 30 minutes, and then I'm going to basketball practice. Sim is gonna get his ankles destroyed. So wish him luck. He don't got it no more. But thank you guys for doing it. When I get my left hand.
See how he tried to throw something out there and get me off real quick. See that?
I'm just trying to say, man. I know Isaiah's trash, but come on, Sim. Let's I'm just joking. But salute to Sim, salute to everybody here, man.
Appreciate you,
bro. All the podcasts out there, all the guys coming. Blind is going to be on at 11:45. Stay in New York podcast. Go subscribe. I put the link in the chat. I've also put out the Jalen Suggs video for you guys to check out. I'm going to be, chasing a bunch of these prospects. And again, this is not me saying the Knicks should get tank. I'm not saying that. These are just me following these interesting processes because this draft is very stacked. So these guys are very interesting teams. So check out the Jalen Suggs video. I'll be doing more of that. Front Stoop, please go subscribe to the Front Stoop. He's coming on next. And you could definitely hear the beat that I wanted to steal from Evergreen. Hold on. Do you want to take this one call before you leave?
Yeah. Let's see if I should be able to hear it. Okay.
Hold on. Let me try this. Hey, what's up? How you doing, man? Who's this?
What's up?
Hey, what's up, bro? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Who's this? All right. Well, that was
okay. I don't know.
I don't know what that was about, but that was fun. I'm gonna let Sim go because I know he wants to get to the front stoop. So guys, please head over to the front stoop. All right. If this guy doesn't work, this doesn't work. Hey, what's up, Bolton? How you doing? Who's this? What's your name? All right.
I don't know what these guys doing.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna let get out of here, man.
Yeah. All right, man.
You sir.
Get over here. I got Tony Crow waiting for me. So.
All right. Tony Crow's in. Yeah. All right. Definitely let you go. Salute Tony Crow.
Appreciate you, man.
Peace out, guys.
Tomorrow night, right? Because today's Wednesday, we missed. So tomorrow night, right?
Yes, tomorrow night, and also on Friday, I'll be covering the game. You'll be doing the after game, right? The after.
I was gonna do the game too. I was thinking maybe we could link together.
All right, yeah, sure. I'm down for that.
Right? Like we could.
Right,
I know we can find a way to do it.
All right.
Right.
And damn it. All right. I might be able because I have to talk to I'll be able to use a laptop. So I know how to do OBS now. Unfortunately, I can't do it on my Mac because I can't do the browser source for the chat. But
what we can do is like you just send me the link that you have for StreamYard, and then I can jump. I have another camera, so I can get on with that camera with this link, and then I'll still be able to show it on my computer, and you can still show it on yours too, the same way you're doing it. Yeah.
All right, definitely. So Friday, yeah, let me change the title then. I'll definitely change the title and put that out there so everybody knows that Sim and I are doing a joint Knicks Dunbar. I bet it's Ron Cleveland. To Ron Cleveland, by the way. So definitely, yeah, be here for Friday. We'll be covering this Knicks preseason game Friday, starting I believe it's 7:00. So
yeah, game starts at 7. Jump on at like 6:30 or something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, man.
All right, man. I appreciate it.
Everybody, peace. God bless, man. See you guys.
Peace.